You're listening to CobraCast.
The cobra injects deadly venom through its fangs, like toxins through a pair of hypodermics.
This is the CobraCast, and here's your host, Bobby Sharron.
Please welcome to episode number 324 of the CobraCast podcast with me, your very undesignated driver for tonight, because I will be, as usual, sipping on the Iron Wolf Ranch and Distillery. I'm doing the bourbon tonight, just a little bit of bourbon. Anyways, my special guest from a great band that I discovered over the past month, Ronan from Venustra, is in the house tonight.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
How you doing, buddy, man? Bro.
I'm hanging in there.
See, I forgot your name, Ray. We're just talking about, forgetting names. I'm just messing with you.
I'm just bad at names.
Yeah.
We're all bad at names.
Yeah, but I discovered the band, man, probably about a month ago. I know I liked the Facebook page when I got the invite and all that stuff, but I get so many of those. If they're an Austin band or surrounding Austin, I'll like it. And it popped up on my feed one day or something, and I went and checked you out on iTunes, and I was like, holy shit, these guys are great. It's just, because like we were talking, it reminds me of like Alice Cooper with like Marilyn Manson, Murder 13, all those kind of bands, or Wednesday 13, excuse me. And just had that really hard rock in your face kind of stuff, which I love. So
yeah, we try. I try to make it as crushing as possible. That's the kind of music that I kind of grew up with over my teenage years, and stuff that I've been a little bit more exposed to over the last 10 years, and it definitely rubs off on me. I knew that this was the type of music that I wanted to make, but at the same time, I wanted to do something that was also pretty Broadway-ish. Yeah. Pretty shock rock.
Well, yeah, I get a lot of that, like real theatrical kind of stuff. That's what it sounds like.
Mm.
You know what? I'm thinking about it now, and I think I saw you guys over at Texas Mist. I'm trying to think. It's sounds kind of familiar. Did you guys ever play there?
Yeah, we played there 3 times by my count. Actually, we did one headlining show, and we did Spooky Christmas and the tribute to Odorous Urungus.
Oh, from Gwar.
From Gwar.
Nice.
So those were really awesome shows. Worm Suicide.
Yeah,
my God, those guys are crazy.
Yeah. I think they're the hardest working band in Austin. Those guys.
Oh yeah, sure.
I mean, they were playing like at least 175 to 200 shows a year in and around Austin. They would play like 3 or 4 times a week. It was, the amount of shows, and I think they were trying to break a Austin record or something at the time. But yeah, they're a great band. But they actually did a podcast up here like probably my first year I was doing it. So like in 2016ish, I think 2017. And they just came up here and destroyed the place. I still got little trinkets on my wall of all the stuff that that I have from everybody around town, and their stuff is still hanging up. And they gave me like a little, where is it? They sent me. He gave me one of these, and some other stuff that I really can't use. Like he gave me nipple rings and there was all sorts of crazy. And to this day, I have this T-shirt that they gave me and I can't wear it anywhere. I mean, I can't even wear it. It's so bad I can't even wear it at my house. But I kept it. But I kept it. I don't think I've ever worn it. It's like it's so what's the word I'm looking for?
Graphic.
Yeah, graphic,
maybe.
and I mean it's like it's insulting to every race on the planet. It's just terrible. But I'll tell you what, you got to hand it to anybody who would do that. They're great guys, great band. I love them. I love them to death. I haven't seen them in forever. You know, of course, I haven't seen anybody in forever. So
Yeah.
So
last time I talked to lead singer Pablo.
Pablo, yeah.
Yeah. He was I think it was after the Odorous Younger show that he invited us to go play the this venue that was, I think it was out in Taylor.
Oh, you're talking about the Black Sparrow Music Parlor?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the one.
That's a great little place.
Yeah, I've never been out there. I guess once all this is over, I'm just like one of the first places I would go to. I guess.
That's a cool little part of town over there. Because if you notice when you were down there, it's a lot of old warehouse buildings.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like you're in the 1920s when you go down there. But slowly but surely, one by one, they're taking those buildings and making clubs out of them. So hopefully, another 10 years from now, it's going to be another, downtown Austin, 6th Street kind of situation where they just have a bunch of clubs. And, Round Rock is already doing it too, off of 620, if you know that area at all.
I only pass through Round Rock whenever I go to work. So,
yeah.
I am way out here in near Lago Vista.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm in Lago Vista every weekend now. Another story for another podcast.
Oh.
Yeah, it's beautiful out there.
Yeah, it is.
It's a long drive on 1431.
Yeah, I really don't like it all that much, really.
Yeah, it's gotten a lot.
I wish I was closer to town. Honestly.
It's gotten a lot worse. I mean, over the past, I've been here almost 30 years. I mean, the time it takes me to get to where I'm at like 45 minutes. I'm in Georgetown. It took me like 45 minutes to get from Lago to here. So,
my goodness.
Are you originally from Austin or transplant? Or?
I'm originally from Houston.
Okay.
Actually, we moved here in late 1996, early 97, and we were actually living out in North Austin near Duval for a while. And my mom actually got a job working for KLRU for a while. Yeah, so she was working for the PBS station. I don't remember what her position was. I want to say it was like a grant writer of some kind, but that might have been her other job. But I cannot. But she worked there from. She worked there for a while from like 97. She worked there for I think about 5 years, and I cannot tell you how many tapings I've been to when we were going when she was working at the station for ACL.
Oh wow. That's killer.
Yeah. A grand little introduction to Austin is like, well, I can get used to this.
Yeah. I think I know they still do the show, but I think it's on hold now because of the COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I remember watching Austin City Limits when I was in Connecticut. That's where I'm from. And I remember watching that stuff. I was like, that looks pretty cool. And then you move down here and, I've never been to one though. I tried to get tickets for when Robert Plant did it, but I didn't get in. So.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Speaking of Robert Plant, actually, I actually saw a taping when he did his solo thing. I think it was like 2002, 2003, and some years later, I think it was like 5 or 6 years ago. I actually saw a surfaced version of that very taping, and here I am, like little 10-year-old me.
Yeah.
Like sticking out like a sore thumb, and I'm just like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm spazzing out or something like that. But
got a little time capsule for yourself.
Oh yeah.
That must have been a
sure.
great show, though. I love Robert Plant. Of course, who doesn't like Zeppelin? I mean, that's just a whole.
Who doesn't?
Those guys
for
are just
sure.
in a league of themselves, So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's one thing. I never I never went to a taping of ACL ever. I was like, just for some weird reason, never went. When they because they're doing it at the Moody Theater now, right? That's where the new ones
they
are.
do it at the Moody Theater.
Yeah, so I remember Robert Plant was down there. They did a taping with him, and I tried to get tickets, and it just didn't happen. So
Yeah.
that was the one thing I really wanted to go to.
From what I understand, I think it was kind of just like a lottery system, just kind of like a very,
that's how
like
yeah.
first come first serve sort of thing.
Yeah, and that thing probably sold out in about 2 minutes probably. So
Yeah. But I can remember I've seen Bob Schneider there. I've seen Leonard Skinner there. My brother actually saw Fish there.
Oh wow.
I saw Trish Yearwood and the Dixie Chicks, and or now called the Chicks.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of bands at that place, but I never seen any ACL shows. So
Well, these were all tapings back in the early 2000s. So,
man, I'll tell you that's awesome. I wish I could have done that. I mean, so your mom. So how long did your mom work there for?
I think she worked there for about 5 years.
Yeah.
I think it was like from 97 to 02, I think.
So then you got like a little older. You got bit by the metal bug.
Yeah. Well, that's my brother's fault. Actually, because I would remember being in the car with him, and my brother would pass Mom "Injustice for All."
What's really funny about that? I just ordered that record.
Like on vinyl?
No, I must say I call everything a record. So I ordered the CD. I was just talking about this on the last podcast. I ordered a CD of Injustice for All. They did a remastered version. Metallica went back and remastered. They're doing like an album at a time, and they go in sequential order. So they're I think this is the most recent one, and I have the other 3 or 4 that they have out. So I think the Black Album is going to be the next one they redo. But I wanted to get it because the mix on the original version sucked because there's no bass on it. No, yeah, I think Lars in what do you call it? Lars mixed the whole thing, and he's a drummer. So what do you hear?
Just his stuff.
You just hear drums. I think James Hetfield had a part in it too. So you hear a lot of guitar and a lot of drums, and the bass was like non-existent. So I think they went back and when they remastered it, I think they remixed it also. So hopefully that's the case. I would like to hear that album is like, probably one of their best records.
Oh, for sure. One of the more, I guess one of like the more progressive albums that they've done.
Yeah.
That was in their catalog. And
a couple of years later, they call it the Black Album, and they just explode. That album came out when I left Connecticut in 91, and that album just creeped out. It was out a couple 2-3 months before I left. And then I came down here, and the crazy thing about it, it's not even really a talking point, but I remember going to the clubs here, and I never saw anybody dancing to heavy metal before. Right. And we're at these clubs and they put on Enter Sandman, and the girls got up on the dance floor and just started going crazy and just dancing. I thought it was the weirdest thing ever, because where I was from, you dance to disco songs or dance songs,
right.
Not metal. So it was the whole man, it's a pretty cool place, I guess,
That's what I think. The the 90s version of Austin was very bohemian at that point. So I guess they didn't necessarily care what was on this. Like, hey, does it have a good vibe? Cool, I'll dance to it.
Yeah. But that's when, I hit pretty much when the whole, everybody calls it the Nirvana years, or the Seattle years came in and wiped everything out pretty much. Cause it was, you still had those 80s stragglers still kind of hanging on, I think, I don't know, many bands that made it out of that period, actually. I mean, there's, they had, big record sales again, but it was all, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, and Nirvana. When the year after I moved here, that's what the big thing was.
Yeah. the I think around the time that we moved here, I think the Metallica album that they released was the Load and Reload albums.
Okay, that was a little afterwards, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what everybody's gripe is about those albums. I thought they were great.
Well, you got to realize too, and I've listened to a lot of, interviews with those guys lately. I don't know what it is. I mean, Metallica's not, they're like, I wouldn't even say they're like one of my favorite bands, but I'm getting more into like the making of records and stuff like that, just to learn more about the process.
Yeah.
And they were saying, it's like, you know what? We did Kill 'Em All. We did Ride the Lightning. We did all these great hardcore thrash records, if you want to call them thrash. Right. And he goes, where else are we going to go? We're trying to, you know what I mean? We're going to make the same record over and over again. And they had such monster success with the Black record with Enter Sandman and all those other tunes that it gave them the carte blanche to do whatever they wanted to do,
Yeah, for sure.
So they say, hey, man, let's experiment and see what we come up with. And those records aren't bad. If you're a hardcore Metallica fan, you like the first 3 or 4 records, yeah, you're going to hate them. But the way I always looked at it, it's like, it's something different in the catalog,
I guess I can understand. I mean, throughout my teen years, and this was in the mid 2000s, I was a huge fan of Avenged Sevenfold, and
love that band.
I had seen them multiple times before the drummer died.
Right.
And what I started realizing that after the Rev died, he was kind of the backbone of that band, and I was just like, it's almost kind of like when Cliff Burton died and they just kind of, and Metallica kind of went this way.
Yeah.
And I didn't much like much of the stuff that they did after Nightmare, because that was like the last stuff that the Rev ever produced.
Right. I mean, plus, those kind of drummers, man, you just can't go out and get one of those guys. You know what I mean?
No.
And that's what I mean when Jordy left Slipknot, I was like kind of going, man, who is going to replace that guy? He's insane. And and they went out and got a guy that's better. You know what I mean? It's like, I wouldn't say better, but equal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that band's, I think that now that band's, Slipknot's a better band than what it was. I'll tell you what though, it's, I've seen a lot of shows in my day, and to this day, I still say, the Slipknot show that I saw maybe, I'm going to say 4 years ago, was probably the best concert I've ever been to.
That was the one with Bullet for My Valentine. And,
yeah. That's what I was I walked out of that place going, holy shit. I was just blown away by how great the show was.
That was an insane show. I was actually almost up to the front on that show.
Yeah.
So, but I had my back turned with, well, not necessarily my back turned. I was just kind of like, I was kind of sitting there with my arms crossed, like all defiant, because when Bullet for My Valentine came on, I remembered this time when they did the Taste of Chaos tour in 2008. And I will never forgive them for this. Taste of Chaos tours 2008. Avenged Sevenfold was headlining, and they had the J-Rock bands that they were playing before all the other bands, and that's what I wanted to go see too.
Mm-hmm.
But great freaking lineup. Bullet for My Valentine comes on, and right in the middle of their set, the lead singer goes, "Okay, I want and I was up front for this one. I was like at the barricade. I want everybody from the back of the pit to crowd surf up to the front." And the back of my head was literally inundated by sweaty emo ass for 3.5 minutes. I was like, you gotta be, I will not forgive them for that.
Yeah. I'll tell you, all I remember, it was a hot day, and I remember just the smell of pot was like ridiculous. It was it was hardcore. Because one guy I used to work with, he was there, and he's like, man, he goes, we get drug tested at work. He goes, man, I need a mask or something. I can't be in this. I'm gonna test positive when I go to work tomorrow. I didn't smoke anything. Yeah, it was pretty bad, man. But it was a fantastic show, though.
Yeah, it was. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah. Hey, so with Venustra, how did you get that project together? Did you have projects before this that you were in?
So Venustra kind of melded, kind of came out of this, I guess this other project that I was doing, that I kind of carried over from high school, and for quite a few years I was trying to figure out what the trajectory of this whole project was. Originally, it was called Misery Theater, because I knew that I wanted to do something that was really Broadway-ish and spectacular and stuff like that. But I was only focusing on a certain kind of like a certain genre, and eventually it kind of got to the point to where I was like, okay, maybe I should just try to do a little bit of everything and see where it goes.
Mm-hmm.
So after the last vocalist that I worked with had left, I kind of took like a bit of a hiatus, and I took a couple of months off to try to get some inspiration going. And I don't know, I just kind of said, I am going to do whatever I can. I'm going to take as many influences and just pack them all into one project. Not every album is going to sound the same. Every album is going to have like a different vibe to it.
Right.
And it's going to have a different sound, even though it's going to stay within like the hard rock and metal ring of it. But I've always wanted to do concept albums and try to write stories, because I'm not a very good lit writer, and I just kind of wanted to do more Broadway-ish stuff, and
right,
because I always kind of thought that stuff was interesting, and that kind of stems from years of listening to Pink Floyd and Genesis and a lot of the progressive rock bands from the 70s that always have these elaborate storytelling albums. But at the same time, I wanted to kind of do the Pink Floyd route thing, and where everything is a freaking single by this point. So
right.
And so one night when I was working overnight, I texted my girlfriend at some point and said, bring me up a list of phobias. And at the bottom of that list was Venustrophobia, fear of beautiful women. And so I guess I could try to fit maybe some sort of backstory into that, but it's like basically it really has no special significance in any sort of way. So
it's a cool sounding name though. So
yeah, I did like the 2-week test that Trent Reznor did for 9 Inch Nails. So I was like, oh well, if I like it after 2 weeks, I'll keep it. So Venustra just kind of stuck.
It's kind of
with that.
It sort of has like kind of like a rock opera-ish kind of tone to it. That's what it sounds like to me. Like an orchestra mixed up with Venus somehow. I don't know.
Well, originally the whole idea was that, it was supposed to be a very witchy sort of pagan sort of thing,
right?
And they were just gonna be like, you should be afraid of like the nature that surrounds you and all that stuff. And I was like, nah, that sounds a little cheesy. I'm just gonna go. I was like, this has no significance. It just sounds cool. And it has some great branding to it. So
at that point, did you have a band together, or are you just working on the concepts for it?
I couldn't get a band together. It almost seems that there was really not much of a demand for these visual rock bands, because I think more often than not, people are more focused on maybe just pulling in some sort of old school rock and roll, or
Right.
you have to be very, very extreme type of metal. And I guess for a lot of people, the whole entire concept of doing anything that is theatrical or visual is kind of a cop out. So I was like, well, I can understand where they're coming from, but at the same time, this is kind of what I grew up with. So I just want to present this to you.
That's kind of weird. So you couldn't find anybody to do it?
Not for a while. The first gig that I did when the Red Eye Fly was still open, and this was kind of on its last legs, I had one guitarist. It was me and one other guitarist on this very small stage. And then, yeah, he was kind of like a one-off thing. A couple years go by, and I decide, well, why not just do it myself? I mean, I have the backing tracks for it. I have everything going for it. So, why not just go on and do yourself? So I signed up to do the Dirty Dog Fest during South by Southwest, and I don't know. It seemed kind of awkward, but I guess I got a lot of support. Excuse me, I got a lot of support out of it. Eventually, I really don't know how it happened. It's all a huge blur. But eventually, in late 2018, I managed to get together two guitarists, one being Ozzy and one Eamon. So those guys have been working with me for about a good year and a half, and Eamon had left. Ozzy is still in the band, but right now we're just kind of off doing our own thing. Eamon went off and did his own thing.
It sounds like everybody right now. So
yeah,
everybody's just kind of doing their own thing right now.
And there was one time where we only had a bassist for about one gig, and that all kind of fell apart after a while. So we were just kind of down through a three-piece. But the one thing that I'm really proud of by this point is the fact that we actually managed to get some really cool positive reactions out of people, regardless of the fact that we were only a three-piece. We all had basses and guitars, no drummer. And the only thing behind us was this huge lit up banner that was just painfully homemade.
Sometimes those are the best ones.
Uh-huh.
So you just had a drum.
Right.
You had a drum machine track playing in the background. You guys just played to it.
Yep. Yeah. I made it to where we would have an intro. We would have like then we would be able to start the tracks. We would have like sound clips in the middle of all these tracks. And when it's just kind of get up on stage, push play, and you go. And if you mess up, you mess up. No big deal. We'll
the drummer won't mess up, so.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the drum tracks are slamming. I was listening to them, and I'm like going, guys, on the newer stuff, I guess you said you remixed, like, what was it, Ringmaster? You said you remastered or remixed that one.
Yeah.
And the drums don't even sound like a track. So it's a drum machine or an actual drummer playing on it?
No, it's the Easy Mix thing, or the Easy Drummer thing.
Okay,
that we got going on.
Sounds great though.
I do plan on eventually try to have somebody down, like way down the line, just try to redrum all that stuff. But right now I can't afford a session musician.
I'm sure. I mean, the stuff is really great. I think you're especially in the situation we're in right now. I mean, some people might just do it for fun, that are great drummers, just to get out there and play a little bit. So, I mean, you got to realize it's not about money to a lot of guys. Well, let me rephrase that. it's not about money with some guys. I'm not saying most guys are all people, but because people do have to make a living. But you can find some great drummers that would probably put down a couple tracks for you.
I would love that. I mean, eventually, but kind of just for right now, I'm very low on resources, and I'm just kind of thinking.
Yeah, you're pretty much all are right now. Yeah.
yeah, we are.
So I was going to ask you who does all your artwork?
I do.
Really?
I do all the artwork. Yeah. I've over the last couple of months, I've spent I've the last couple of years. I've always had an interest in graphic design, but only within the last couple of years have I been able to kind of just work on that meticulously. So right now I'm doing a lot of the artwork. In fact, hold on, I have a thing up here. So some of the artwork that's being done is from this.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is mostly just like a whole bunch of fabric and stuff on a canvas, but there I would have this, and I would have something else digitally imposed over it, and
right.
I don't know, it seems to be working out pretty well for me, at least.
Well, I saw the album cover. I guess you just did a photo shoot for it, I guess. Mm-hmm. I can't remember. All I remember, I think it was a picture of you on the cover of it, mm-hmm. but it looked like sort of like a circus kind of vibe.
Yeah. So
that cover's great. Cover looks great.
Oh, thank you. That was actually that's actually a nod to the Innuendo album.
Oh, Queen.
The cover to the Innuendo album from Queen.
Right.
So.
So that and that record's coming out at the end of the month, right?
Yes, it's coming out on. I'm trying to do the trajectory to my birthday on the 30th. So
okay.
So just to kind of have it, it's my birthday. Here
you go.
The album.
Happy birthday to me.
Myself.
Finally releasing it. So is that a full length album or like an EP or something, or?
It's a full length album.
Oh, nice.
A lot of the stuff that I had released the album last year, so that's why I said that's why it has like reimagined in small print on the bottom of it, because last year I had right after I did the vocals for it, there was not a lot that I knew about gain staging or like proper mixing in general.
Right.
So there was a lot of miscommunication about what I was supposed to do as far as, okay, what should I do with these tracks? I don't even know what to do with this. And I sent it over to a mixing and mastering service, tossed them $1,000 and said, do something.
There's an incentive.
And when I got it back, it was just like this. I don't know. It's in my ears. It was just kind of like, it didn't sound all that well. And so like, this is not what I had in mind.
Right.
So I did what I could to try to remix it myself again, but I was just so hell bent on getting it out there anyway. So
right.
Like, all right, here's the album. I don't know what to do about this anymore. But when I go back over it, I always figured, there was a lot of nuances that are missing. There's, I should have changed this in the mix. I should have said this on the lyrics or something like. And there's a lot of things that I really wanted to change, and I was just not happy with it.
Right.
So I still have the original mixes on this computer, and I've been working tirelessly over the last couple of weeks, just trying to get tips and hints and tricks, try to make the mixes better. And thank goodness for Joey Sturgis tones, man. Those guys saved me.
I'll tell you, there's so many records that, you know, that I hear that they're great. The songs are great and everything. It's just the production and the mixes on them are just terrible. And you're like, I mean, it's just, you know, you spend all this time in the studio recording and getting all your parts down and all that stuff. And then when it comes to the mixing, they kind of, a lot of bands, you know, they're just, I'm not saying local bands, but bands, you know, in the studio in general. I think it's a cash kind of a problem, you know. They spend all the money recording it and they only got a little bit in the budget left to mix it and master it and send it out. Yeah. So I don't know, but there's so many records. I'm like, oh, man, I just wish they would have spent the time on mixing that better, or, you know, had somebody else mix it or something else. You know what I mean?
And sometimes like huge international bands kind of hit that flaw a little bit. So, but there's a band that I've been following for the last 10 years. They're a Japanese band called Deer and Gray, and I've been following those guys at least for 20 years. But they really have been catching my attention over the last 10, and they've become progressively a little bit more harder in their music, because they originally started out as kind of one of those like really twangy, those really kind of twangy sort of visual K bands to come out of Japan, and I would say not necessarily. They were kind of poppy sounding at that point,
right?
And they but they have done a very good job transitioning in their sound, and every album that they've done up to this point have been extremely fresh. But what I also noticed is that they would go back in their previous catalogs and kind of update their old songs to the newer production that they have now.
Right.
Like re-recording it, adding different vocals, and I think that gave me a little bit of comfort, thinking, okay, maybe I can do that. It's not going to be a big deal.
Yeah, I mean these days you can do anything you want to do. I mean, you've seen bands do the craziest things these days. You know, you know, I don't know how many people have like re-released their catalogs a million times. You know, here's a special A/B mix of this song, or a special, you know, remastered, or, you know, people just, because of course they want to make money off it, but maybe they're trying to make their stuff sound better than it did originally, you know. But you have those audio files that love, no matter how, let's say how bad it sounds, but how raw it sounds. They don't want it updated to 2020. You know, they like their 1978 or 1979, you know, version of whatever, you know, as opposed to the artist coming back and just trying to try to make it sound better, you know. And so I think, you know, these days it's an open field to do anything you want to do. So, because a lot of bands don't have big deals anymore. When you're under a big record deal, you can't do that kind of stuff. That's why so many bands are doing everything themselves. You know, these independent deals where they just have carte blanche, do whatever they want to do. You know, because they're not getting the big bucks from the record companies.
Not anymore.
Yeah. So I mean, if it makes you better, if it makes you sleep better at night to do what you're doing with your music, then knock yourself out, man. I applaud you. You know what I mean? Honestly, seriously.
I've been trying to get all the mixes better and better and better. Even last night, I pretty much discovered that I have to gain stage the guitars a little bit. Okay. I went back through all my mixes once more and said, okay, I have to clear the volume, maybe give it a little bit of headroom here, give it a little bit of headroom on the bass, you know. And it's very tedious work, but I think it definitely pays off I believe it's going to pay off in the end.
Yeah, I mean, everything's a learning curve, you know what I mean? And put that in your mental Rolodex for next time, kind of a thing. So I mean,
Yeah,
it's
for
it's the
sure.
same thing with what I do. You know, I learned something from every episode, either technical wise or what I could do better with audio, what I could do better with video. You just learn. You keep on learning. You know. So.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, let's get to this first song. So, Ringmaster, and you just put this single out not too long ago. Well, it's a remastered version, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's all basically from the original mixes, and they I think there's a few nuances that I added to it, not from the original album, because all of that stuff was missing. But there was a certain image that I had in my head for this very song, because, like I said, it was everything that I'm doing is very story driven. It's very Broadway-ish, and in my head it sounds very grandiose, and I wanted to make it flow as good as possible. So there's a lot to this song. Are you wanting to know the storyline behind it at all?
Well, I mean, yeah, you could tell me. That was just what I was going to say is when I listen to this stuff, you know, because I hate, like, everybody, you know, I'll tell somebody about a band, and first thing out of their mouth, what did they sound like? You know what I mean? And so, you know, if I had to say what this sounded like, to me is like, you know, you have Marilyn Manson in it, you have a little bit of Slipknot in it, you have Alice Cooper in it, definitely. It's that I'm not saying shock rock, but when you hear it, you'll understand what I'm talking about, because when I first heard it, it just blew me away, because I love this kind of music. You know, it's just in your face. It's just, you know, punching you in the gut over and over and over again. It's just, I love it. I think it's killer.
Thank you.
That's Thank you. But that's my thing. You know, I mean, a lot of people are gonna be like, oh, that's just too much for me. But you know what? I love this kind of stuff. So, you know, that's all I got to tell you about it. But so what's behind this song?
So the greater part of this, long story short, the greater part of this whole entire album is based around this circus that this kid had made, basically pretty much in his own head. In reality, it's just kind of like living out this very weird murder fantasy of some kind. But basically, in his head, he's luring all his victims into this huge big top thing he's got going on. And mind you, this is all going on in his head. And what's happening is that he's basically just kind of sending them through the gauntlet, basically through a whole bunch of mazes, and but that comes up later in the album. This is basically the introduction to this character. So in how sadistic he is, and pretty much describes the person, that character overall.
Killer. Hey, one question I have for you. Do you have a mute button on your Zoom over there?
I don't know. Oh, yes, it's right here.
So when we play the music, put the mute button on, because I want this. I don't want anything else in it but this music. You got it. I'm excited to play this. So.
All right,
people.
Wow.
Here it is, Ringmaster, Venustra. That's some slamming stuff, son.
Well, thank you.
So,
I'm glad you enjoy it. I'm glad people dig it.
yeah, that reminds me of like if you ever watch Motley Crue had a tour called Carnival of Sins, and in the beginning of it, it was like this whole intro where they had these dwarves come on stage, or like circus characters and everything else, and they play all this kind of music, this carnival music in the beginning of it.
Yeah,
It reminds me of that big time.
I owned that DVD at one point. Actually, it was given to me as a Christmas present, and so I played the crap out of it.
Yeah.
Actually, now that I think about it, I just realized I've actually seen them before.
Yeah, that's the thing. I've seen Motley Crue on every tour since the beginning. So.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's another thing that I really think that I really think that seems to be missing. I think there needs to be kind of like an upsurge of theatrical bands, because I don't really see that being tossed around a lot. I mean, there was like a very back in the mid 2000s, I remember there was like this very small pocket of bands that had this very grungy, very trashy glam rock thing going on with them. Trashy and the Kid being one of them. I've actually seen those guys once or twice before. I just kind of felt like that something like that has been missing quite a lot lately.
I think in Austin, because the way that the club structure things, like they have like 3 or 4 bands or whatever it is, and the slots are 30, 40 minutes maybe, and then a 15-minute changeover. So a lot of times, like, a heavy duty theatrical band has a lot of props and stuff like that. It's hard to set up and take off, unless you do your own show. If you do your own show and you're headlining at 10 o'clock and you get 2 hours or whatever, or you know what I mean? People, I'll tell you, I think theatrical rock needs a comeback, especially I think Austin's a great place for it. But I don't think it's going to be good if you play at some normal club. You'd have to rent out like a little theater or something like that, or you know what I mean, to make it special. There's
that makes sense, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because the way that the club scene works, that I've seen it, is the bands are on, for 30, 40 minutes. There's a 15-minute changeover. And it just goes in this rotation. And I think for a theatrical kind of a band to get up and do a full on theatrical show, you need a lot of room, a lot of space, to do a show, actually just do a show by yourself kind of a thing, but I'm sure there's venues that would do it.
Well,
if that made any sense, I don't know if it made any sense to you, but
no, actually, I didn't, I never thought about that actually. I guess what I was thinking of was just, even if it's like scaled down to a certain degree,
right.
You would still be able to get some sort of like really cool experience out of it. But at the same time, it's just, I kind of feel like there's not much effort being put, I guess, into the spectacle of it, rather than some everybody going up with jeans and a t-shirt. Not saying that there's anything wrong with that. Right. It's just I just kind of feel like something like that has been missing for quite a while. There's
a few bands that have a theatrical thing, that do that. Not many though. Not for the hard rock metal stuff. It's just not really happening anymore. I don't know why though. I mean, for a good long while there was that kind of stuff in town, but I mean, it's just, I don't know. I don't know if people just don't want to put the work in for it, or maybe they just think that, people won't come see it, or I don't know.
Well, I think for a lot of people it's probably like some sort of cop out, but I'm not too sure what they might think. But
that's the whole thing when you put something together like that. You really don't care what people think about it. You just do what you want to do, and if people dig it, that's fine. If they don't, you'll find your crowd sooner or later.
Yeah, try to carve out your oown niche.
Well, I mean, you have to kind of,
in that sense.
find your own, misfit, island of misfit toys kind of a thing. That's the way I always put it.
Yeah.
Because everybody has their crowd. They just got to find it,
Yeah.
Not everybody's going to like what you do, or, a lot of people are going to hate and throw stuff at you. Then you'll have those couple, 2-3 people like, man, I really dig this. Next time you play, they bring 3 or 4 people with them, and the crowd keeps growing and growing, That's how you build a band. And that's the whole crazy thing. Like, when it comes to bands, I mean, in the past, for me, like 10 years, I mean, you used to have those bands in town that had those big buzzes behind them, like, oh, you got to check this band out, But I mean, you just don't have that buzz with bands anymore. For some reason, it's not a thing where, I guess because there's so much, I think you're just oversaturated with music. You know what I mean? Where,
Yeah.
That kind of a thing.
That yeah, you're right in saying that everything is very oversaturated. Everybody has their own niche.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It's kind of
I was totally off topic on that one, so sorry.
it's a very big guessing game as far as I'm concerned.
Well, have you ever thought about maybe taking it out of town?
I've been wanting to, but it just doesn't seem to happen. Well, we took it out of town once, and it was in San Antonio, and we did it around early October of last year, and we played with Killswitch Incorporated,
okay.
which was this like very hard rock industrial band that had just regrouped, I think, since like ever since they broke up in the mid 2000s, I think. But it was kind of like a flashback when going down to San Antonio, because you still see a whole bunch of people with like Jinko jeans, and it's almost like the industrial nu metal thing had never left
really
San Antonio at all.
I'll tell you, San Antonio is its own thing. It really is. San Antonio is like the metal capital of like Texas, and there's bands that you've never heard of before that are like superstars in San Antonio. Like they're gods in San Antonio. You come to Austin, like no one's ever heard of them. It's crazy how it works, but they love their metal in San Antonio. I mean, that's why every band, if they ever do like metal bands, that's the first place they go to play a gig is like fucking San Antonio, because San Antonio loves metal.
I'd love to play more there at some point. The venue that had us, Fitzgerald's, they really liked us, so they were very eager to kind of have us back, which I appreciated. But eventually I would like to go back, because man, I have not out of every other city that I've been around in Texas, I've lived in Houston for about 3 months, and that was kind of more geared towards like country and hip hop.
Right.
And Austin is more, what would you say Austin is more like, indie?
Man, that's the thing. You really can't pinpoint Austin because it has so much. It's such a it's such a mixture of music. You have so many different styles of music here. I wouldn't even call it. You have the hip hop element. Of course, you have country. You have alternative music here. Funk is big here. You have Tejano music is big here. So you really can't pinpoint it. It's, that's why when, South by comes through, and you have the local bands that are, they're, blessed enough to play South by these days, they're all different kind of bands. You really don't see, you really don't see many rock bands. That's one thing. You don't see that many rock bands or metal bands at South by, but there's a big metal scene here and there's a big rock scene here.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But I mean, if I had to put say, okay, what kind of town you think Austin is? Well, I don't know. I would say, I could give you 5 different things, but I couldn't give you one. I mean, it's hard to pinpoint everything.
It's definitely an amalgamation for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the country scene's big here too, of course, you know.
Yeah, for sure. I've actually heard a lot of bluegrass come out of Austin too, so that makes me very appreciative of it.
But I think you're right with the alternative. I think it's probably more of an alternative kind of a town now, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
But like I said, there's so many different styles of music here. You can't pinpoint it just to one. It's hard to. So,
which is amazing.
But like San Antonio, like, you know, metal town. It's just a metal town. It's crazy.
I tell you, I haven't seen so many people on the streets just casually wearing like a Cannibal Corpse shirt or a Metallica shirt or a Megadeth shirt, and I'm just like, I just stepped into a completely different realm here.
My buddy CV Wood says EDM.
EDM, yeah, that's what is we talking about here in Austin?
Yeah.
Yeah, EDM is very big here.
Yeah, and he has a band called Preachers from Hell County, right? And they're like a rockabilly rock fucking blues band. Like it's almost like ZZ Top on steroids, you know?
Nice.
They're like one of my favorite bands in town, but they're like their own thing. You know what I mean? They don't sound like anybody else. They don't look like anybody else, but they're just their own thing. Sort of like they're more like, you know, if I had to really pinpoint those guys, they're more like Hank the Third, you know, with like the Stray Cats mixed in with them. It's just the weirdest kind of combination. But they're killer band. But like I said, but those are the kind of band you have in town. You just have everything, you know.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's actually kind of amazing because there was actually a few years ago, and I never thought that I would ever see this being done at all. But I think it was like I think it was 2009, 2010. There was actually, and this is actually going off of the rockabilly thing that you mentioned. There was a thing called Freak Show Fest that came out here, and it was a whole bunch of psychobilly bands, and at the top of the bill was Horror Pops and Reverend Horde.
I think they might have been on that actually, because I know they've done some gigs with the Rev, so I know that they might actually been on that thing. To be honest with you,
that was a great set. That was amazing. They had the I think it was the Horror Pops. They had the Coffin Cats.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was who they have?
Freak Show.
Yeah, Freak Show.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Those guys are. I mean, well, man, no one's played a gig since like March, so it's like hard to even, you know. But they were like, CV was telling me, he was like, man, he goes, we're not even appreciated here, so we're just gonna play out of town. That's it. So they don't even play here anymore, you know. He'll play, you know, he'll do like live streams and stuff, but he won't. I don't think he's doing any. Even when the gigs come back, I don't know if he's gonna play here anymore. So.
Well, I think the first thing when to kind of get the live show up and going is to try to find a band first.
That's always good.
try to find a band first. It's only me and Ozzy by this point, so.
Oh.
And
well, I mean, with the music you have, I'm sure you could get some players for it. I can't see how you couldn't, you know, because you might have to search for a little bit, but because. You know, not everybody's into the theatrical thing or just everybody's got their niche, but you'll find the right guys for it. You definitely will.
Hopefully down the road.
No, yeah, I mean, they're, you know, those, like I said, once this whole pandemic thing's over and everybody gets back to work, but, what do you call it? Man, I can't wait till you get some players and get this out live. I'd love to come see it. So.
Oh, what I have in mind, well, prior, I totally left off track when I was going to say this. Prior to the lockdown thing, I was going to do this like really huge because I was also saving up for like a vinyl release.
Oh wow!
As well, and I wanted to go do it over at Come and Take It Live, and I had this huge just grandiose thing about, I wanted to have like some sort of sideshow acts coming in. There was a couple of bands that I wanted to be on that bill, and I have it like drawn out in a sketchbook somewhere. I had this like huge theatrical like Broadway setup thing going on, and I knew in my mind that like how I wanted it to pan out. And as soon as this whole thing happened, I was like, okay, change of trajectory, work on the album first.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's what I'm saying. Cause like right now everybody's like in limbo, and they're still in limbo. It's like from day to day, the rules change from day to day. You don't know what's going on. I mean, people are just kind of I think they're opening the bars back up from what I understand. But but then again, I look at it like this, and it's a sad thing because the bars are going to be opening at 50% capacity or whatever. So I think a lot of the bars might not even have live music anymore because they can't afford to have, live music because they have to pay the bands, because I know I'll say a lot, but a few bands that are playing out, they're mostly cover bands and stuff, but they're taking, when it comes to, their pay, they're taking a big hit because they're like gimme gigs, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, hey, we only can have like 50% capacity, so we can't pay you what we usually pay you, kind of a thing.
Yeah, for sure.
And to get the scene back together like it was, a year ago, love it or hate it, or whatever. I mean, it's going to be tough. It's going to be really tough.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's gonna take a lot of legwork from pretty much everybody by this point.
But the cool thing about it is I'm not saying the cool thing about it, 'cause there's no cool thing about the whole situation.
Yeah.
But I really think people are going to come up with ideas on how to have ideas on how to do shows that, 2021, you know what I mean? I'm not really saying it the right way, but they're going to come up with different ideas on how to have shows. It's not going to be normal. It's not going to be normal anymore. So either if it's a drive-in show or if it's a show, where we have to social distance or, just whatever, but music will come back, but it won't be like it was.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing that I'm going to be kind of afraid of, because the whole idea of going to a show and going to gigs is it's a completely different experience than just watching it from home. That is unless they actually had like some sort of special technology where they had like some hologram off to the side where the band would be playing in front of a green screen.
I keep hearing about more, online shows and more like, I wouldn't call them pay-per-view shows, but I guess that's what some people are doing. I just can't. It's great to get your band together and play together, right? But to play for a virtual audience is just not the same. It
really isn't.
Where you go when I saw you guys at Texas Smiths with a pretty decent crowd, and you're feeding off the people and they're loving it and they're having a couple drinks and they're loving the show but you can, you could play in your rehearsal space or wherever, do your show, and you're not getting anything back. You know what I mean? It's like a rehearsal.
The feeling of it just kind of stagnates after a while.
Yeah. So, but like I said, even with my thing, it's like, I'm trying to think of different ways to get this out there in a different way than what I'm doing. I'm lucky that, I have a studio. If you want to come up and do the podcast in the studio, it's great. If you want to do Zoom, that's great too. You know what I mean? So my stuff hasn't really suffered at all. But I do have a yearly show that I put on in January, and we can't do that now because of the situation,
Yeah, for sure.
And we have bands to pay, and 50% capacity ain't going to do it. You know what I mean? It's like, so it's a rough situation all the way around. I just think, I really hope people hopefully people will stay positive, and think of new ways to get their music out in a live setting. Sooner or later, it's going to come back around, but I just don't know that if we can rebuild it to where it was, if that makes any sense, you know?
Well, I get that, unless there's some sort of like massive like medical miracle that starts to happen by that point.
Definitely.
But, yeah, you're right. And until then, it's just kind of be like, well, what are we gonna do? Like, for me, I've been very apprehensive about the idea of ever doing any sort of virtual show, because, like you said, it's not the same, and it just kind of seems awkward.
Well, and plus everybody's doing it, so you're like, it's sort of like you're on a satellite television, you know what I mean? And there's there's a million channels, and you're like one channel, and there's all these other bands that are all the other channels, and people just like flipping through with their remote control. Oh, maybe not. I like this. Hold on, maybe I'll go watch this for a little while. It's not the same. It just isn't. You know, no. I don't know. Yeah, and I think, like I said, I think about it all the time, because I'm trying to find ways. Man, how is it that the bands get back out there and get to playing in front of people again? I mean, I know it's like, okay, we have to wear masks, we have to do all this stuff. I get it. But when this whole thing blows over, you know, a lot of the clubs aren't going to be here anymore. A lot of venues are going to be gone. And a lot of bands, I think a lot of music venues are not going to be music venues anymore because of the liabilities.
That and I kind of wept over that. I was like, I was kind of lamenting over the fact that Austin is not necessarily how it was, even 10 years ago. Everything seemed a little bit more free, and I don't know. Everything was just like,
well, I mean,
it's kind of hard to describe.
You got to realize too that nothing stays the same, because I'm in that age group that we talk about the good old days, which we're like the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, or whatever, but you got to realize everything changes. Nothing's going to stay the same. Everybody gets older. The priorities change. The music changes. You know what I mean? And it is what it is. You kind of have to let go of how it was and face the future on how it's going to be, kind of a thing. And I don't even know why we're even getting into all this. He's like, hey, I want to talk about my band. What are you talking about?
I was like, we're just talking about the good old days.
Yeah, no,
old days.
No, but it comes up. It comes up a lot because people are just worried about what they're going to do, Yeah. I know that, I know some people that are moving out of Austin because of all this. So they're professional musicians, and they can't work. They can't. They're gonna go to somewhere where it's a little bit looser. Texas is really tight when it comes to bars and venues and stuff. There's a lot of other states that have music scenes that are a little bit looser, where they can go make a living. I don't know where I read this, but I don't remember where I read this. It was a few months ago, but it seems as though that there's a lot of the no, it was Reddit. I just remembered. Apparently, a lot of people from Austin are moving to Denver these days. And I kind of had a fleeting moment about that for a second. I was like, that doesn't actually sound too bad. Well, it's weird. It's weird because like all the people from California are moving here,
right?
And then all the people that live some people that live here are moving to Denver. I think everybody in the United States is actually, they're all kind of, what's the game? It's like not like Duck Duck Goose, but what is it like? Kind of like musical chairs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like everybody's just shifting around. It's great. It's like what?
Actually, I talked to a coworker a few months ago as well, and he was before all this stuff happened. He was coming to do some business with over at our branch, because he used to work there at one point. Anyway, I'm off topic. he said that a lot of the stuff that's going on over in Denver are just a lot of jam bands, like a lot of Grateful Dead jam bands
Yeah.
and stuff going on. So I was like, well, I guess when that thought occurred to me when I read that that article, and I was like, well, I guess they're gonna get a little bit more of more of an awakening from the jam bands that they're used to, I guess.
Well, is it like weed legal up there too? So
Yeah, it's
that's
from what I understand, it is legal to smoke in public.
So that's why you're gonna get a lot more of those Grateful Dead jam bands, because we're too high to write songs, so we're just gonna jam for 4 hours. That's our show. Good night. We love you.
Good night.
No, I mean, no, Colorado's a beautiful place anyway. So I could see, people, moving there. I mean, once you've been in Austin for 10 or 20 years, I mean, people just tend to kind of like, I've been here, done it for 20, 30 years. Time for me to move on to do something else. You know what I mean? So
I've had the fleeting thoughts. I've had those fleeting moments. It's like, I want to move there, or I want to move to Vegas.
I'm a Vegas guy too. I'm a Vegas guy. I was
I
actually talking to my buddy that lives in Vegas. He was calling to check up on me today, and I was like, man, I need to get out there to see him. Yeah, my buddy Freddie. Yeah,
I love going over to Vegas because I think the last time we went there, it was just kind of out of, we went to see this Tim Burton museum, and it was actually at the sign graveyard that they have. I think it was like a mile off the strip.
Mm-hmm.
And that we went at night, and that was really cool. They had all the signs and a lot of the props that Tim Burton used in his movies, which was really cool to witness. And prior to that, we went to see 9 Inch Nails, because we kind of thought that they wouldn't tour for a while, because that we just kind of thought that there was going to be like a few special shows, and that was it for that year.
Right.
So we just kind of made us like, okay, let's go to Las Vegas and go see 9 Inch Nails. And what I've noticed is that as soon as the plane hits the ground and we get out to the terminal, my ADHD just kicks in immediately.
Really?
Yeah, just like, ooh, pretty lights.
Oh yeah, it's a gorgeous.
All
It's
the
a
nice
gorgeous.
sounds.
It's what's really weird about Vegas is like when you wake up in your room on the strip. If you stay on the strip, and you see the place, and you see like the Vegas Strip in the daytime.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, this isn't all that cool. You know what I mean? Then you see it at night, and it's like, wow, it's a whole different animal.
It's amazing how it changes over the day. The last time we went there, we were actually in a hotel room that was facing towards the mountain range, the hillside range.
Right.
And that was beautiful to wake up to. That was so amazing.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
Kind of
The crazy thing about Vegas is that every time I go there, it changes, because they're always tearing stuff down and rebuilding. I mean, I think the Flamingo, they've torn it down like 6 or 7 times over the years and rebuilt. Because they're all in competition with each other.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think they're going to do it now because of the COVID. I mean, they've lost a lot of money over the past. I know they're open. I think they're back open up again, but I don't think they're full capacity with people flying in and out of there. So
yeah, it's I would hate to see what it looks like when going back there these days. Like the first time I went there was that's when the Stardust was still there.
Oh my God, that was like what 25? Yeah. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, and
that's where they filmed. Yes. That's where they filmed Casino, I think.
Yeah, I think that's where it was either that or Reno, I think.
No, I think that movie Casino, they filmed. Well, it was it was called the Tangiers in the movie, but it was actually the Stardust, I think. That's don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's where they filmed it, and they knocked that place down a long time ago. So
Yeah, the we actually stayed at the Circus, which was like not too far away from
Right,
the
right.
Stardust, and it was crazy to see because when we went to see the Tim Burton Museum, uh, there it was that huge freaking sign, that huge Stardust sign with all the gems and
Yeah, yeah.
scattered all over the place. I was like, I remember when that used to be open. Ugh.
Well, yeah, but there's a lot. It's like a salvage lot of all old
Mm-hmm.
like Las Vegas signs and whatever. And yeah, there's a bunch of old school casino signs and just stuff from casinos. They throw out this big like it's like a salvage yard, and you can actually
Yeah,
go in there and buy stuff. So if you actually
it's
wanted to
amazing.
have the Stardust, sign or whatever, which I think they kept, you could probably go in
Mhm.
there if you put down a couple, like $100,000 or something, whatever it costs. You could take that thing home with you if you wanted to.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they got all sorts of. I'll tell you, there's people that love that stuff that'll buy that and put it in their little, put it in their, their little man caves and stuff like that. But yeah, you can actually buy stuff in Vegas like that. So, anyways, we got a couple more tunes to play. We've just been gabbing about all sorts of crazy stuff, but so you put out like a maxi single, right? Because there's a couple, 2-3 songs on this,
hmm
and was it from this year? I guess.
Yeah,
The May I?
it was this past summer.
Okay. So these songs are on the new record also, right?
No, actually
okay.
these are standalone songs. These I've been every now and again I'll have some inspiration and just like write something out of the blue.
Mm-hmm.
Like the demon and Tosca track that isn't going to be on any sort of album anytime in the future. Same thing with May I. But when some sort of inspiration strikes, I was like, hey, I want to make a song, Uh,
It's like a bonus track almost then.
yeah, for sure.
Very cool. Well, let's play this thing. Let's crank it up.
Right on.
Anything about this song at all, or just?
So, there's been a couple of times where this was based off of a movie that was released in 2002 called May, and it stars this actress named Angela Bettis, and she's I've seen her before in this other film called Bless the Child with Kim Basinger, and I thought she's a great actress. She's very underrated, I think. But when I saw May, I thought the concept to it was really surreal,
Mm-hmm.
and I like writing songs about kind of surreal movies, and that Fear and Varieties track as well. I don't think it's on it's still on Spotify. It's still posted out there. That was also written about another movie, but but this was where the concept of the song was actually about that film, and it is kind of like my loose interpretation of it, and it's about this girl who works for a veterinarian, and she kind of has this like really she has an infatuation with this guy, and I don't know. I'm kind of losing. I'll have to look the whole thing up.
That's okay.
I've kind of lost the plot a little bit over the last couple of months.
Right. Well, let's hit this song. How about that?
Awesome.
All right. May I? You know what I was just thinking?
What's that?
You need to like look around for some filmmakers in Austin or in the Texas area or wherever, and submit this like someone that's like making a horror movie, and submit this stuff to them. This would be perfect in a horror movie. I'm telling you.
I know that that Jacob Stone he's wanted to make horror films.
Yeah, how's he doing? I haven't seen him in a bit, man.
I don't know. I passively kind of follow him on Facebook, but I haven't spoken to him in a while.
He's got like a film company or something. He's doing something with film. I know because I briefly saw it. I saw a post that he put up, but he was like either trying to make films or documentaries or something was going on with him. I need to touch base with him too. I haven't talked to him in a minute. It's been last time I saw him was at the Texas Miss, was like a couple of years ago.
I'd like to know what he's up to.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I did look this up because the plot kind of escaped me. Basically, it's a girl who tries to make friends and kind of loses her mind on the way, and eventually she has this really horrible sense of betrayal and starts pretty much killing everyone around her. And out of this kind of mere psychosis sort of way about her, she compiles a lot of the chopped up limbs to make this really weird humanoid figure of some kind, just like this really
like a Frankenstein kind of a thing.
Yeah, some really Frankenstein-ish grotesque thing. So yeah, it was based around that movie, which I thought the concept was really, really cool. So yeah, that's not like the only song that I ever met. I did a song about that was about a film. It was the Fear and Varieties track was actually half film, half story.
Right.
Because when I was working overnights, I decided, well, I'm a huge fan of Blade Runner, so I might as well dig into like Philip K. Dick's kind of back catalog of literature, a lot of the science fiction stuff that he's done.
Do you like the new Blade Runners?
I did, actually. I was really excited about it. I actually saw it twice in theaters. I saw a pre-release at IMAX over at the Bob Bullitt Texas State History Museum.
Right.
And then a second time when it was like a double feature. It was the original 1982 film, and then it was 2049. And then it was followed up by a Q&A from Sean Young, who originally played Rachel in the original film. Apparently, she actually lives in Austin now.
There's a lot of those. Trust me, there's more people that live in Austin now than you would believe. It's craziness the people I hear about that live here now. It's insanity.
It's amazing to me.
Yeah, I remember because I remember seeing Blade Runner in a theater. It was like they did a thing in like it came out in '82, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I did see the original in a theater, but I remember when they came out with it was like the extended director's cut and all these other cuts of it. I think there was like 3 or 4 different cuts of it that they did.
Yeah, there's a director's cut, there's the final cut, and I think there's like 2 sets of theatrical cuts that they did. But yeah,
which aren't really too much different from each other. Just a couple scenes, they take away a couple scenes in one and add scenes in another one. Yeah, I bought the Blu-ray special edition of it. It's got I think there's like 3 discs in it of all 4 versions or something in it. So
yeah, I have that one. I think I have that one as well.
well, I mean,
The Blu-ray set.
I mean, the sequel wasn't bad. I mean, it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Because usually when they they reboot those things or they do a sequel that 20 or actually 30 years later. You know what I mean? They're not really that good. They're just too. And when it comes to they just don't really catch the original vibe. Because I think that the technology is so far advanced than it was like 30 years ago or 35 years ago that it's just it's too polished. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, that definitely makes a lot of sense. But me being like a huge fan of cyberpunk, that's just something that I personally would overlook.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a great piece. It was definitely an art film. It was definitely an art fan film for sure. Because
well, the first one was too. I mean, that's you got to be, you have to be a certain person to like really get into that because it was. I mean, the story was it wasn't like fast moving at the time when you had Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back and all that crazy stuff to put that out. I think the Star Wars crowd really wouldn't be into that. They had a whole separate kind of audience for it, which was I loved that. I thought it was a great movie.
I would definitely say that Blade Runner to me is like what Star Wars is to pretty much everybody else.
Yeah.
So, like even so much so, like
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
I have the origami unicorn right here.
Oh, cooler.
And so.
That's crazy, man.
I'm a huge cyberpunk fan. So,
really?
Like anything of cyberpunk, I'm just give it to me. And I like cyberpunk comics, very science fiction-y sort of. Even some of the really cringy '90s stuff that they had back, like Johnny Mnemonic.
Oh yeah.
Even the stuff that they did for Total Recall, I like even the Matrix. The other two movies were not impressive. I'm with everybody on that one. Matrix Revolutions and Reloaded were kind of yeah.
And now, as you probably heard, they're doing a sequel. They're making another Matrix film now. I'm with the COVID thing. I'm not sure they started production on it yet, but they are doing another Matrix film. And I was like going, it doesn't make any sense because the last Matrix, pretty much ended up the way it did. And, Neo kind of just blew up into the sky and whatever. Are they going to like try to bring him back or how are they going to do this, How
are they going to have the mental gymnastics to actually like figure this one out?
I know. It's like, come on, man.
That ending.
It's a cash grab. That's all it is. If it was a thing where they could do it and the story would be out of this world and, and I think all the originals are coming back. Oh, but Lawrence Fishburne isn't coming back for it.
Oh, that doesn't.
That's what I was saying. I'm like, why is he not coming back for it? I mean, Morpheus was a big thing in those movies,
Yeah, he was kind of a driving force to that. And
so for some reason, I don't know. Maybe his character will stay and they're just going to, recast it. Who knows? I don't know.
They'll probably do something. They'll probably do like some sort of tribute character to say, oh, his character died like this so many years ago.
Yeah, so I'm kind of curious to see, how that's going to work out. I don't know. I thought it was a joke, but I was like kind of watching some like entertainment news channel or something. It popped up and Keanu Reeves was kind of talking about it. I'm like, are you kidding me? This is guy. What? My big thing with movies is I love movies. I'm a movie fanatic, but I'm not a big fan of Hollywood redoing the same movies over and over and over again. They get a popular movie from the 70s, they got to redo it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like, I mean, I pretty much said, I said, you know, when they start like redoing the Godfather films, that's when I got to tap out. You know what I mean?
Oh,
You know what I mean?
wow.
You know,
Yeah.
they just redo
I
those
think
Godfather films. I'm out. I'm never going to watch another movie again. So I mean, it's like,
I think what's really far cringier about that is American made like American remakes of foreign films. I don't like that. I really don't.
well, you know, you got to realize why they do it is because that's to an American viewing public. That's pretty much new. That's new material because you know how many people watch foreign films? Not many.
Not many. Yeah.
That's why. So they get the stories from those. They just flip them over. But I'm talking about like how many Spider-Man reboots do we need in our life? You know what I mean? Or how many Batman reboots do we need? I mean, I love those movies, but it's like God, enough already. Invent a new superhero or some shit. You know?
Yeah.
I just don't get it. It's not.
I don't know. I kind of thought that the homecoming movies weren't too bad.
I didn't see those yet.
They're not bad. They definitely have a different take on how Spider-Man actually functions as his character.
Yeah.
Um,
But you know, like I
But,
said, you know, like for me, like the Christian Bale Batman things, I thought those 3 movies were awesome. You know what I mean? Those
Yeah.
3 movies were just great the way they were. And I said, okay, Batman's done. There's gonna be no more Batmans. Of course, then Ben Affleck pops up and he's Batman, right? And now they got another Batman movie coming out. And I guess the guy that plays him in production got COVID, so they had to like, you know, pause the production of that movie. So that's another Batman movie. And it's like, good Lord, man. I don't know. I'm all superheroed out. I mean, I just
I think as soon as they started trying to insert like Ben Affleck into the picture, I was like, I'm done.
yeah, I know.
I can't
It's like
do
how
it.
much. I mean, what's next? Brad Pitt is Superman. Is that gonna be the next one? I mean,
No.
anyways. Anyway, I could go on and on about like, you know, Superman. Oh Jesus, it just kills me. Crushes me.
Yeah. I only wish that my final stance on this is that I wish they could actually go back into like different parts of maybe like the DC universe and try to do something. Maybe get like somebody like Guillermo del Toro to do some sort of surrealistic Sandman sort of thing going on from like Vertigo.
I'll tell you one movie I really enjoyed and they never did anything with it. They did an HBO thing with it, but it was The Watchmen. I like that movie. I thought the movie was great.
I don't think I really even. I don't think I really watched The Watchmen the whole way through.
Well, it's more of an adult superhero movie. It's not really meant for kids,
Right.
you know. And it's got a whole. I know they're doing a. It's already on the HBO series. I haven't seen any of them, so I don't know.
I did hear about that, but that was mostly just because Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross were doing the soundtrack to it.
Oh wow, cool.
That guy's been doing a lot of soundtrack work lately.
Well, I guess there's more money in soundtrack than trying to sell records these days, so he's got.
Sure enough.
You know, I mean, Nine Inch Nails, you know, they're a great band, but I just don't think. I mean, it's just he's got to make a living like everybody else, and I think a lot of people started doing soundtrack work. I remember Stuart Copeland, the drummer from the Police, that he just started doing that like 100% for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of guys that are. I mean, there's a lot of money in it, you know, and plus it's a great gig if you can get it. So
It is for sure.
So-
like, I'm sorry. Go
I don't
ahead.
know. So you know, back to the band. So are you actively looking for members right now, or are you just kind of like waiting till this whole thing kind of, you know, kind of rolls over? Or?
Yeah, I'm just kind of. I'm not exactly forcing myself to try to find members at this time because it's questionable at best about how all this stuff is going to go down. So
Right.
the best thing that I can do, like if I would release this album and at the end of the month and just get started on the next one, and
Right.
you know, if things don't really start getting better by, you know, in about a year, might as well go do the next album.
Right. I hear you on that one.
because I have this, I have like, I have an entire Word document that that pretty much has like a basic outline about what albums I want to make and what they're going to talk about and how they're going to sound and what influences are going to be on those records. I've put a lot of forethought into this, and I'm just trying to make it happen.
So, if I can ask, what are the influences for the next one?
Very old school, very mid 90s industrial, I would say. There's probably going to be like a little bit more, there's probably going to be hearing a little bit of Ministry in there.
Oh, wow. There you go.
9 Inch Nails, and possibly even some of the new metal stuff from the late 90s, and a whole bunch of stuff. But it's gonna mostly have like some sort of industrial bend to it, but it's still gonna keep grounded in the whole rock and metal aspect of things.
Cool, very cool. So have you planned out a timeline for that one yet, or you're still worried about this new one? You haven't you haven't released yet. I'm worried about the next one.
Actually, I've been working on for the last couple of years. I've actually worked on several tracks from that album that I want to place on that album simultaneously with doing this album. But I kind of figured that I would do this album first because it had the most songs on it. There's more that I can put to it. So I will release this one first, then I release the next one. I don't necessarily have I don't really have like a timeline or any sort of trajectory about like when it's going to be coming out or anything. The one thing that I do want to do is I actually want to go to a studio and actually crank this one out in a proper studio setting instead of just having to do it this way.
Well, so first of all, it sounds great. So whatever you're doing, keep on doing it. So what instruments on this record, this one we're listening to tonight, what did you play on it?
I played everything.
You played everything.
Everything,
okay.
Everything except for the drums.
Okay. Oh, cool.
I just put them together.
Oh, so you're more of a guitar player than anything else then?
Yeah, kind of. I'm more of I am kind of a percussionist. Like, okay. I kind of try to find a middle ground with everything that I do on instruments. I'm an okay drummer. Definitely wouldn't be able to do stuff on wouldn't be able to personally play stuff on this record. It's just like because I have a drum set out in a shed over here that I kind of demo out and said, okay, maybe I can put a fill in here, or what's the tempo for this one. But yeah, mainly I am mainly a guitar player. I'm mostly a bass player, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, because I noticed in the pictures you're playing bass in the pictures, right? You have a bass with you, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. The bass guitar is kind of one of the first. The bass and drums is kind of one of the first instruments that I picked up, and what gravitated me towards the bass was it. I kind of see like, okay, the guitar is kind of cool, but what about those really fat strings and that really awesome low end that comes out of it?
Right.
I feel like there's a lot with the bass guitar that generally goes untapped, and I feel like in a way I could do more with it if possible.
That's why the best bass players are actually guitar players first.
Yeah.
Well, no, because the guitar players, they're so melodic. So when they switch over to bass, they tend to play the bass as a guitar instead of a bass.
Mm-hmm.
And that I'm not saying they make the best bass players, but they're more melodic bass players than
for sure
regular bass players. So
I'm kind of more of a percussionist bass player, and if that makes any sense.
Totally makes sense. Well, actually, the bass guitar is almost like a percussion instrument, anyways.
Yeah, but I'm kind of when it comes to style and technique, it's more or less just kind of very less Claypool or Fieldy from Korn or something
Right.
like that. To say that it's kind of melodic, I would have to really rack my brain as to like, okay, how can I make a melody out of this? Because generally, when it comes to the bass guitar on these songs, it usually follows the rhythm guitars most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't. A lot of the times, it just kind of follows the same riffs and the kind of the same scale, more or less.
There you go. Hey, so we got one more tune to play, and then I think we're going to call it a night. It's getting pretty late. I just noticed, I looked at the time, like, oh my God.
I love this. It has been very enjoyable.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I love the band, and it's like I'm just trying to get everybody, now that we're kind of all hanging out at the house, we've been doing it for a long time. That it's a lot easier for us to get together, either through Zoom or being in the studio. So. But
yeah, for sure.
One by one, I want to get everybody on, and like the great thing about it is we can play music on here, and it answers the age old question. Hey man, what does that band sound like? So here you go. You can describe it all day long, and all these grandiose explanations. But here you go. Here's the proof is in the pudding.
Right.
So, anyways, the last one, excuse me, Lost Ageless. So it was like almost like Los Angeles, but Lost Ageless. So
this song is a cover of a St. Vincent song. I really love her work.
Mm-hmm.
She does. I first saw her on I think it was on Jimmy Kimmel some years ago when she came out with with her self-titled album. I was like, who's this crazy person with the hair? I want to know. And it turns out that a lot of what she does is it's very anti-pop, actually.
Mm-hmm.
It has like some rock elements. It's very anti-pop. It's very melodic. It's I think I saw an interview. She described her music as being a kind of a panic attack, and I was like, hey, that's great. Originally though, I wanted to do something from this other band called Rasputina,
mm-hmm.
and they're mostly just like a cello, kind of like a cello based band, and I wanted to do 1816, The Year Without a Summer, but I just kind of felt that maybe I can do something with that later, because it didn't necessarily have the same type of energy that I wanted in a song at that moment. So I was kind of going around my playlist, like, what can I cover, to kind of replace this, because I always wanted to do like a cover song and release it in my style. And then Los Angeles came up, and I was like, all right, then I'm gonna do this one.
Cool.
I don't know how good it is to everybody else's ears, but it's there.
All right, let's give it a spin. See what we got here.
Right on.
Los Angeles.
In Los Angeles, the winter never comes. sunset superstars, girls in cages playing their guitars. But how can I leave? I just follow my hood and my car. Oh, in Los Angeles, the waves they never break. They build and build until you don't have no escape. But how can I leave? I just follow my hood to the sea. Go to sleep. How can anybody have you? How can anybody have you and lose you? How can anybody have you and lose you and not lose their minds too? How can anybody have you? How can anybody have you and lose you? How can anybody have you and lose you and not lose their minds too? All my love, we really didn't know. I'm a monster and I'm a sacred cow, but I can't keep running. No, I can't keep on running. No, no. How can anybody have you? How can anybody have you and lose you? How can anybody have you and lose you and not lose their minds too? How can anybody have you? How can anybody have you and lose you? How can anybody have you and lose you and not lose their minds?
And there we have it.
Yay!
Yay! It's a killer version, man. Big time.
Thank you.
Killer,
Thank you. I'm
killer,
glad you
killer.
enjoyed it.
So the new record comes out October 30th.
Yes, sir.
And the title is?
Candy Apples Custom Made,
Where did-
reimagined.
Where did that come from? The candy apple thing.
So, I think I just thought of it out of the blue. I think when I was watching, Freak Show, from American Horror Story,
Mm-hmm.
because this between that show, this is how the inspiration I got from this for this album was between that show and this old 1920s antique yearbook that I picked up over at the Antique Mall off of Burnett.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of scrolling through it, and I was just like, maybe I can make a story out of this. So I'm not exactly sure how I got the name per se, but the concept kind of just revolves around that whole idea.
Very cool.
So
Hey, so one last question. So when the album comes out, is there any kind of physical media, or is it just going to be a online thing?
I'm gonna try. Because I'm gonna have a mock-up of this deluxe vinyl thing that I want to put out. And I like puzzles, and I like the alternate reality games that like the secrets and stuff. Kind of like what Tool does with the photographic lenses when they came out with the 10,000 Days album. Something similar to that, like the really cool extra feature sort of thing that will make the person engage with the storyline and what's happening with this this whole universe, to say the least.
Right.
But I'm also gonna try. I'm gonna try to do a vinyl release, and I'm gonna try to do I'm definitely gonna get some CDs printed for sure. But that's gonna come after I finish the actual storyline and have it sent to a proofreader. And after I get that back, I'm gonna start doing the album art, like reprinting the album art and everything. And the trajectory of that is probably going to be about December, January.
Okay, cool.
That point.
But it will be on, Apple Music, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all those great places you can get music.
Yep, it's all gonna be there. Even on like if you do the TikTok thing as well, it's gonna be on there. It's gonna be it's gonna be on YouTube and all that good stuff. So
check it out.
we did check it out.
Check it out, big time. It's gonna be cool. I can't wait.
Later.
Yeah, so October 30th, people. Okay, so if people want to learn about the band Venustra, where can they go besides Facebook? You have a website or anything, or?
Yes, you can go to Facebook, you can go to Twitter, you can go to Bandcamp, you can go to Reverb Nation. Yes, I still use that thing.
A lot of people still use Bandcamp, believe it or not. You're not the only one.
Well, the Reverb Nation thing.
Oh, Reverb Nation.
Yeah.
That's the only place I don't have my podcast on. I could have it on there, but you have to pay for a certain amount of space.
Yeah.
So, and I have way too much in the catalog now to put up there for free. So it's like, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
So.
But what I would encourage is that if you want to get the album, make sure to share it, pass it around to your friends. I'm actually gonna be releasing it on Bandcamp for free.
Oh, nice.
For a little while. So if you want to get onto that, just download it, burn it to a CD, chuck it at your friends, do what you need to do. I'm just trying to get it all out there.
Well, when you make copies, put one aside for me because I'll buy one. So.
Oh, for sure.
Very cool. Yeah. So in the audio link of this podcast, I will put a link, I guess, to your Facebook page, I guess, because you don't have a website, right?
I do have a website.
Oh, you do? What's the website?
Venustra.org.
Well, there you go. Perfect.
Venustra.org, and that's the official website, but that one gets updated like every now and again. And the only thing it has right now is kind of like a countdown of when the album comes out. So
right.
There's Facebook, there's Twitter.
Right. Well, I usually
the usual stuff.
Yeah, I usually put links to like websites and into like a lot of people just do have a killer Facebook page. So I just put a link there. So if they like what they hear, they could just go over to your Facebook page or your website or whatever and check it out. So.
Oh, you can also get us on. I forgot to mention Instagram. You can go to Instagram.
How many more do we need? How many more social media platforms do we need? I don't know.
It's a crazy thing to think about.
I'll tell you, like, I'll tell you, people like, celebrities or whatever, would have one person handling their social media. Now they have like two because they can't handle all the platforms. One person is not enough. We need more people. We need more people for social media. It's just out of control. I just do I do Twitter. I'm barely on Twitter. I use Instagram and I'm on Facebook. So I can't do anymore. There's not enough hours in the day. I be sitting around on my phone all day like this, just trying to put up posts. It's like, I love doing the podcast and stuff, but I just don't want to live online all the time.
I try to I do what I can to measure out the whole social media usage because right now it's getting way too stressful.
Oh yeah.
So, yikes.
It's like it's just we could get into that'll be another podcast in itself. But anyways.
Yeah.
Hey, Ronan, thank you so much for coming on. This has been a blast. I love your band. I think you're a super talented cat, and man, I wish you well. I'll be seeing you around anyways. I'm sure I'll run into you somewhere after this debacle is over.
I totally appreciate you having me on.
Dude, I've been meaning to. So
it's a welcome relief of kind of like the day-to-day monotony of going back and forth. It's been a loop for months on end.
Yeah. I'm just trying to turn people on to new bands. If you like metal and industrial and that kind of stuff, it's like check this band out. They're killer. So
I try to catch your podcast on Spotify as well. I know the last one I listened to was the dudes from Pure.
Oh yeah. That was a little crazy. We did a Zoom. Yeah, we did a Zoom with them and they were just hammered. No. Pure wasn't. It was the Pure guys are great. It
Yeah.
wasn't Pure. It was oh God, who was it? Traces Left.
Oh my goodness.
Traces Left was on there, and they got annihilated drunk. Annihilated drunk. And it was
I couldn't do it.
Huh?
I couldn't do it.
It was
That-
it was entertaining to say the least. I mean, this but they sent me I got a t-shirt in the mail like a week ago. So thank you Traces Left for the t-shirt you sent me. Oh God, yeah, that one was Pure was great. They're a great band anyways.
Oh yeah.
Great people, great band. And they're itching to get out and play. I mean, that's what it's. Everybody's itching to get out and play. So
I love the backing tracks that they had when they were first emerging.
Yeah.
As a band, I actually kind of had the kind of like the fleeting thought of maybe I'll try out. I don't know, because I knew that they were trying to seek a vocalist, and I was just like, maybe, I don't know. But I get they have one already. She sounds a hell of a lot better than I would. So,
hey, like I said, you got the Venustra, and that's a great project. And I hope you keep going with it, because it's killer. I love it. So,
well, I thank you for having me on.
no
Seriously.
problem, man. This will be first of many episodes, so it'll be fun. Like I said, people, every episode we end it the same way, and I'm not going to stop now, because right now is a very important time in history. People, please try to do the right thing, because Lord knows most of you don't. And with that, I have a word from Iron Wolf Ranch and Distillery, and then we are out of here. Stick around for a minute, Ronan, okay?
Cool.
Check out our friends at Iron Wolf Ranch and Distillery in the beautiful hill country just down the road in Spicewood.
Go there for cocktails, live music, and fun times. Plus, grab a bottle to go.
They're family and dog friendly with 15 acres of games and hill country views, award-winning craft spirits. They have it all.
Bring your pack, it's a really cool vibe. There's something for everyone.
Ask for Iron Wolf at local bars and restaurants. Check them out online and social media.
Iron Wolf Ranch and Distillery, bold spirits, Texas attitude.